So we want to understand the decisions you made in planning for this lesson and how it fits into the unit and year. What does this lesson connect to and build on students' prior skills and knowledge? What was taught before this lesson and what will come after it? Discuss the sequence of lessons that surrounded this one lesson.
Well, first I went to my next generation science standards, and the standard that I focused was on animal functions. I want to look at the note.
Sure,
Can I read
sure.
it to
Yeah.
you what the standard is?
No
I
problem.
wrote it down and I don't remember it. So it's different animals use their body in different ways to see, hear, grasp objects, protect themselves, move from place to place, and see, find, and take in food, water, and air. So that was the initial standard that I used. And then from there I went to my Common Core language arts standards, and I used the key details in reading informational texts. So that was the focus as well. I also used the listening and speaking because it is a dual language program. Language is definitely, it plays an important role in developing the language through the lesson. So I use the speaking and listening standard, which is speaking complete sentences. So those were the three big standards that I used for the lesson. So prior to the lesson, I taught the same science standard. I focused on insects though, so using their external body parts to survive in their environment. And so we previously worked on that, and then that led into animals that live underground. And then after the lesson that you saw, we focused more on the text features, so the structure of the book, because the book had a lot of insertions. It also had captions and it had the subtitles. So we focused on that after the lesson. I'm not sure what else you said. What
Okay.
the question was, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
What else was on there?
It's just something with the question is what was taught before and what would come
What come after, okay.
Yeah. So that sounds like you covered that pretty well. I'll have you just really quick.
Sorry.
If you could just for the rest of the interview, just completely ignore the camera.
Okay.
But for this one little part, it would just be nice if you could talk directly into the lens and just have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And tell me what grade and the subject of the lesson that you taught.
Okay. My name is Abby Barajas, and I teach first grade two-way immersion.
Excellent. All right. So yeah. So now for now, you can just talk directly. Don't
Okay.
just completely ignore the camera. Okay. So this is the second part of this question here. Is the text used in this lesson part of a sequence of texts designed to build skills and knowledge? If so, please give examples of other texts that form this sequence.
I guess I might have not answered that. I just have that we studied how an animal uses their body to survive in their environment previously to prior to this lesson. Sorry, that sounded terrible.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. If the questions don't really apply to certain things, if you're just
Yeah.
sort of like designing a lesson up and you're not using a specific text, it's totally fine.
No.
You know?
Well, we used that book as a
Uh-huh.
text, but I didn't have a text prior to that one to build up to this one. We just focused on insects, and then we moved to animals that live underground.
Okay.
So not necessarily the text. It was more like the content that we covered afterwards. Sorry, I don't think I'm making sense at all.
No, it's okay. All right, so this one is specific to the standards. So let's talk about the standards targeted in this lesson. What did you do to make the lesson reflect the full intent of that standard?
Which one was that one again?
Which question or?
Yeah, was it 2, 3, 4?
Let's see. It's the first section, the third question. The standards targeted in this lesson.
Was it A, B, or C, or D?
I think it was C.
Oh, which behaviors from the core action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson?
That would be D. So I'm looking at this one.
I'm sorry. I just
Oh, no, no.
that way I can read my notes.
Yeah. So this one right there.
So that's A, B, and C. So it's C. So that's different than what I have.
Oh.
Mine is, which behaviors from the core action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson?
Action 3. Okay. That one is part of the mathematical.
Do I have the math one instead?
You know what? Let's see if I have. We might actually ask that question later on. I don't know if you have to rearrange. Yeah, we actually asked. Well, I asked that on the third section.
Oh.
Third question. So if you want to put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should remember that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Core action 3. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no,
I
that's
think there was
okay.
like a bunch of reiterations of these.
I don't remember answering that question. Okay, so you can ask me again. Sorry, I was trying to think of the question that I had already answered. So, sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Go ahead.
And like I said, if it's just not, if it doesn't apply or you don't really have an answer for it,
Okay.
it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I mean, we can run through a couple more. It's just more to kind of fill in what the lesson was about and sort of just get some background on it.
Okay.
So which of the core action indicators do you think this lesson best exemplifies and why?
I think it best exemplifies the action indicator 3 because just because of different strategies that I used. In the video you saw a TPR, which is a total physical response, building background and vocabulary, and then you saw a word picture sort and where the kids they practice the vocabulary in pairs with each other.
Good morning, everyone. Ryan. Please, could you come to the office? Please, Ryan, come to the office. Thank you.
So they practice that in more detail with the partner. So all that was before the actual text. So it was just a lot of scaffolding before and different strategies where the kids were involved. As you saw, they were 100% engaged with the TPR because I'm getting them up, they're moving, and they're talking they're talking in Spanish to each other. What else? I think that's it.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. The word sort was fun to watch. I think they get really engaged with
They
that.
do, and that was just kind of like a follow activity after the TPR, which was a total physical response where they did the motions with the language. So it was just more of a practice for them. So that way, when they got back into the text, when they read the text, they already had some familiar key terms or vocabulary when they read the book. So.
Excellent. All right. So talk about the standards targeted in this lesson. What did you do to make the lesson fully reflect the intent of that standard?
So the standards that I used was the Next Generation Science Standard. And do you want me to read that to you again?
Sure. I mean, you can just sort of summarize it really quickly, or how it applies.
So the standard is how animals use their external body parts to grow, find food, or move from a place to place. And then the language arts that I used was the Common Core state standards, and that was the reading informational text, and that was the key details. Sorry, I need to look down. I can't remember.
No, that's good.
So it was ask and answer questions from key details in the text, and then later on, you didn't see in the video, was the writing standard, and that was the writing 1.8, and that one was from help from an adult, or with guidance and support from an adult, gather information from provided sources to answer a question. So that's the one that the kids actually had to write, and that wasn't seen on the video.
Okay.
And then the speaking and listening standard, where they're producing complete sentences. So those were my big standards that I focused on. Addie, can you get her? Is she in there?
Oh, no.
No, okay.
Yeah, we only see this one. All right, so now we're on to the next section here. And this one's about the shifts required by the CCSS. We are interested in how the shifts required by the CCSS are being incorporated into your instruction. Discuss how this lesson illustrates the shifts required by the CCSS.
Well, the 3 shifts that guided my instruction. I don't know. Let me read my notes. I'm sorry.
Sure, no, take your time.
Okay, I think I'm ready. Okay, so the lesson illustrates the shifts required by Common Core because first the text that was used was a nonfiction book with the text features were complex, I think, because they had the subtitles, they had insertions, and it also gosh, how do I read this? This is so much harder than I thought. I thought I could just read this and be okay. Okay, so the text was supported by I used the 3-part model for the measuring text complexity triangle, and that's the quantitative, qualitative, and the reader task. And so it requires the student to be able to get evidence from the text. Also, the text has to be complex and then so it has to be at grade level or above. And also because it is in Spanish, that also becomes complex to the students. And then of course the text features shows complexity because of the subtitles and the captions in it, and then I think it had the table of contents as well. I can't remember now. Okay. This sounds so much better on paper. Just so you know, like if I read my paper, I would be great.
We cut all the pauses out too, so
Okay.
actually just kind of all your thoughts come together and pretty quick. So
Because I feel like I'm not even making sense at all.
that's fine.
Like if you could put this right there and I can just read it, I would look awesome.
Take it to a chair.
I can take it to a chair and I'll have my daughter stand over there and I can just read it.
Okay, so let's move to move to the third section here. This is about the student engagement section. I'll read the heading here.
Okay.
Student engagement is crucial to the work of the CCSS. What we want to understand is how you ensure that all students have the opportunity to productively engage in the work of the lesson. So the first part of this would be, how did you support all students in working with grade level text? Do you provide scaffolding for students below grade level so they can read at grade level text? And how did you create opportunities for students who are advanced to engage more deeply?
Well, I think through the TPR, the total physical response activity, 100% of engagement, you saw 100% engagement. Everyone is up and talking in Spanish, and they're doing the motions with the teacher, and then to do the follow-up, the word sort activity as well, the word picture sort. The kids worked in pairs, so that definitely increased the engagement. Kids had to work with each other, and in the video you can see that kids are agreeing and disagreeing in Spanish, and you can hear them speak in Spanish, saying that to each other. Yes, I do agree with you when I match the picture with the words. Or the other student will say, no, I don't agree, and then they take turns. So that definitely increases the engagement. And I think I provided enough scaffolding to limit, or to have that, to let the students be able to articulate in Spanish, because I'm not articulating, but. And then I think I also built enough background so that they could have that vocabulary, those key terms, so that they could work in pairs. And also when they read the text, they had access to that text. They were able to look at it and further their thinking.
Perfect.
Oh, I do have something else to include. So you didn't see it in this lesson, but normally what I would do as well with the picture and a word sort is, what you saw in the video is the kids, they were sorting the pictures with sentences. So normally what I would have done is, with my lower readers, I would have them work with someone that could help them, but also maybe instead of having the longer sentences, they would have just the words. So they would just match the pictures with the words. And then with my higher readers, even let them create their own sentences with the pictures.
Okay.
So that would be another way of meeting everyone's needs.
Perfect. That covers it. Definitely.
Okay.
Okay. How do you know that students were able to successfully respond to the text-dependent questions and tasks with precision? Did students acquire the literacy skills addressed in this lesson? And how did you, or what did you do for students who did not acquire the literacy skills addressed in this lesson?
I think because students are working in pairs, they had access to the text, and they could support each other. And then also with the agreeing and disagreeing through the word sort and the picture sort, I think that also shows understanding the vocabulary words and the concept of the text. And also because of the TPR, the total physical response, I think the students got enough visuals and enough background to understand the reading afterwards.
Okay. All right, so this is the question that we put a pin in earlier about core action 3.
Okay.
So I'll just read that one again. Which behaviors from core action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson? And what actions have you taken as a teacher to make that happen?
I think again, because of all the different strategies that I used in the lesson, it definitely supported the core action 3. Because of the total physical response, it got the kids up and moving, and they were doing the motion, so that way when they read the text and they came to a vocabulary word that I previously taught through the TPR, you could see them. They were doing the motions with the reading, so that helped with the vocabulary. Also, working in pairs, they were able to. I don't know where I was going with that.
It's the last tough one, I swear. The last two, you can just kind of go off.
I just want to be able to talk about the lesson.
Well, that's totally fine. Honestly, it doesn't have to be very specific
Okay.
to any of these things. If you want to talk about it and explain it.
Can't remember what the 3 correction indicator. The 3 are. I think it's just strategies, and then everyone being involved, and I can't remember the 3rd one. I don't know, so
Okay.
I can't answer that whole question.
Okay.
I didn't even write anything on that one. I wrote already answered, so I assume I answered it before.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You kind of, a lot of these overlap anyway.
Yeah.
So when we edit it all together, it's,
Okay.
yeah, so don't worry about, having a new answer for everything.
Okay.
So these are the last 2 questions, and you probably won't need your notes for this. It's just sort of reflecting on the success in the lesson, or something you improve on. So, great instructors are continuously learning. We want to understand what you celebrated in this lesson and what you would improve on. So, reflecting on the lesson, what worked particularly well, and what might you do differently?
Well, I think for me, the TPR was my aha moment. Like, why didn't I think of this before? Having the kids up and moving in, and getting that background in a different way of getting the visuals and then doing the gestures with me. I think that really helped them understand the text better. So when they read the text, they already had some vocabulary to be able to read the text, and they were able to understand the text. And I think for me, that's what I celebrate on is just doing that before reading the text. And then I don't remember the other part of the question.
Well, the other part is just, is there anything you would change about the lesson, or if you had to do it again, just modify?
I think what I would do differently is I spent more time doing the TPR, just because when you saw it in the video, we've had only done it 2 times prior before, and I think that just wasn't enough time for them to read the text. I think once they read the text, they were okay reading the text, but I felt like if they would have had more repetition in the TPR, I think they would have been more successful reading the text, because they did stumble a little bit on some of the words as you saw in the video. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, you can see them definitely when they're making the connections with the physical movements.
Yeah, you could see them moving as they were reading the text, which I had done previously with the insects, and that one worked out really well. And the kids, while they were reading the text, they were doing the motions, and I was like, yay, we're doing it.
All right, so reflecting on the lesson, we did that one, so this is the last one here. Were there any surprises or unexpected student behaviors or reactions?
I think when we did the LEA, which is the language experience approach, and where we did the shared writing, I think I was surprised that they did really well with it. They most of them understood the question that I was asking them, because the question was explain how these animals use their body parts to survive underground. And a lot of them were able to express that to me, and even my Spanish language learners were able to express that to me in Spanish. I thought that was really neat. So that was definitely a surprise to me that they were able to articulate in Spanish. So I think that's it.
All right.
And then I wanted to kind of go over a little bit about the program. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Like, that way, yeah, because it was number 1, but
Yeah.
I don't think you asked me, or maybe you did and I just don't remember now. Okay, so So this is a two-way immersion program. So it's 90% in Spanish, 10% in English. So my day consists of teaching in Spanish 90% of the day. So by doing like the TPR visuals, I think that really helps them be able to develop that language in Spanish. And so when you look at the video, you can see that language is really crucial in the lesson, and there has to be enough support in the language so that they can access the text. And it might be a little bit different than other programs or other, like a regular classroom, because I do have to scaffold that and build that language, that academic language for them, so that they have that, and then they can access the text better. So it might be a little bit different than any other programs that you might see. What else did I want to say? I think that was it, mostly what I wanted to say about that. Yeah. I think I covered it, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I really wish when I was younger I had a class like this, because I think it activates, it's not just being able to speak multiple languages, I think it activates parts of the mind that I think if they're unused as a child, they're not fully developed as an adult. So it's nice to see that
Right.
using those minds and those translations, and it's...
Which now, I forgot to say that part, and that's kind of important. As a follow-up activity, the kids are asked to compare and contrast different animals from the text. But then at the end of the unit, we do something called bridging. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but that's where you bridge the Spanish content to the English content. And it's not that you're translating, it's that you are going over both content in both languages. And I think that's when everything comes together and the kids see it, oh, wow, okay. And that's when you also know if you taught the Spanish well enough that they wouldn't need the support in English. Does that make sense? So I think depending on how well I teach a lesson in Spanish, and then once I bridge it to the English part, I can tell whether or not I did a great job in teaching the language where they don't need so much support in English because they already have it in Spanish. And that's when we bridge it. And I don't know if, like, you can see some of the posters up here, how I bridged, like the insects that we worked on. They did like an hormiga with an ant, mandíbula and a jaw, and antennas and antennas. So that was one of the bridge that we did at the end of one of our lessons prior to this one. Should probably move that trash can, huh?
All right.
Yeah.